We're getting a new version of the Bravado Banshee in the next DLC, and over the past updates, we've seen a bunch of refreshed versions of existing cars, and even some are confirmed for GTA 6. But there are also other cars in the game that are design-wise just bad, and they're begging for a major upgrade in the future. So here are the cars that absolutely need a facelift. First up, we have the Elegy RH8. It's based on the 2011 Nissan R35 GTR. But it's definitely time we got another car in the Elegy lineup. Its design feels pretty outdated now, and it almost looks like an NPC car. The rear design in particular should have been a lot better, so maybe a new car based on the 2016 R35 facelift, the R35 Nismo edition, the 2023 facelift, or the black edition would be great to have in the future. Next up, we have the Truffade Adder. It's based on the Bugatti Veyron Supersport, but it doesn't look exactly like it. I love this car, but since Rockstar now designs cars much closer to their real-life counterparts, I think we need a new Adder in the future, or Rockstar should enhance it in GTA 6 with a more accurate design and an active spoiler. If we're getting a new version in future DLCs, it would be great to have a car based on the Bugatti Veyron EB 16.4 with mods to convert it into the 16.4 Supersport. And another car based on the Bugatti Veyron 16.4 Grand Sport would also be a great addition. In the next spot, we have the Imponte Dukes. It's based on the 1969 Dodge Charger, but it doesn't really look like it at all. The front looks too big for the overall body, and the front fender makes it even weirder. And it looks like a wide body build that was done without widening the wheelbase. It would be great if we got a new car based on the second generation Dodge Charger, since it's such a gorgeous car. And we could also get a much more accurate version of the Charger, driven by Dominic Toretto in the Fast and Furious. I've also wondered why Rockstar added a custom Benny's variant for the Gauntlet Classic, based on the 1969 Dodge Charger Daytona, since the Daytona is actually a modified Charger, not a Challenger. I think Rockstar should add a new Duke under the Bravado brand instead of Imponte, and also add a Duke custom based on the Charger Daytona. Next up, we have the Pfister 811. I didn't know which real-life car it was based on when I first bought it, and I didn't like its look. But after I found out it's based on one of the most beautiful Porsches ever built, the Porsche 918 Spyder, I got really upset. Rockstar could have made it much better, especially the rear. Also, the front looks like a fat frog sitting on the floor staring at you. This car doesn't have an active spoiler like the real-life car does, and it doesn't have any good customization options either. So I think it would be awesome if we got a new car based on the Porsche 918 Spyder. In the next spot, we have the Turismo R. I think it's a good-looking car, and I don't need Rockstar to enhance it or anything. But since it's based on the LaFerrari, I feel it could have been much better. The side profile of the Turismo R is similar to the LaFerrari, but the front and rear don't resemble it at all, especially compared to how closely the newest DLC cars match their real-life counterparts. In fact, the Osiris's front design looks more like the LaFerrari than the Turismo R, even though the Turismo R is the one actually based on the LaFerrari. So a new Turismo based on the LaFerrari would be a great addition to the game. Moving on to the next spot, we have the Vapid Bullet. It's another good-looking car that I really like, but since it's based on the 2006 Ford GT, and the Bullet offers no customization options other than changing the colors and wheels, I think we need a new version in the future. The Ford GT is such a great looking car, and it's the modern version of the legendary Ford GT40. The Vapid Bullet has similar design, but I think it would be better to have a new version that's more accurate. Or perhaps another version based on either the GT40 or the GT40 Mark II, with liveries to match real-life cars like the GT40s that won the 1966 Le Mans would be a great addition. Vapid FMJ is also based on a Ford GT, but it's the second generation that came out in 2018. The FMJ looks similar to the Ford GT, but it could have been a lot better since the real car is a piece of art. So I think a proper second generation Ford GT would also be great to have in the game. Next up, we have the Pegasi Infernus. It's almost like the Turismo R. The car is good, but we need a new version of it. The Infernus is primarily based on the Lamborghini Murcielago, but only the side profile is accurate. The front and rear designs are not even close. The rear is actually based on the Pagani Zonda. I think we definitely need a new car based on the Murcielago in GTA Online, because it's one of the best looking Lamborghinis ever built, and the Infernus looks nothing like it. Or maybe a car based on the Murcielago SV would also be great. In the next spot, we have the Dubachi Massacro. It's not a bad looking car, but it could have been a lot better. The Massacro is based on the second generation Aston Martin Vanquish, and it's one of the most beautiful Aston Martins ever built, so I think we need a new car based on it in the future. My personal favorite is the Vanquish Zagato, and its rear looks pretty cool. Moving on to the next spot, we have the Progen T20. It's based on the McLaren P1, and it's one of my favorite hypercars ever. The P1 looks amazing. The front, the back, and overall it's a gorgeous car. I also love the T20, don't get me wrong, but I think we need a better P1 in GTA Online. Especially the rear must be a lot better since the P1 has such a beautiful rear design. Next up, we have the Sentinel XS. It's also one of my favorite cars, and it's based on the BMW E92 M3. I don't think it's a bad looking car, but it doesn't really look like what it's based on. Since we got the Cypher, which is based on the BMW M2 CS and looks exactly like its real-life counterpart, and we don't have a proper M3 in the game, it would be better if Rockstar added a new Sentinel based on the BMW E92 M3, with customizations to make it the M3 GTS. Additionally, a new car based on the BMW E46 M3, with customizations to make it the M3 GTR, BMW F80 M3, or BMW G80 M3 would be a great addition. Next in line, we have the Obey Rokoto. It's a bit confusing which car this is exactly based on, as its rear is mostly inspired by the Audi Q5, while the front is mostly based on the Porsche Cayenne. And since it's under the Obey brand, I guess it's primarily based on the Audi Q5. We also have another Audi SUV in the game, which is the Obey iWagon, and it's based on the 2018 Audi Q8 e-tron, but it doesn't really look like it. So we actually don't have a proper Audi SUV in the game. And I think a new version of the Rokoto, based on either the Audi Q5 or Audi Q8, would be a great addition for the future. And also, I think if Rockstar plans to include the Rokoto in GTA 6, they should redesign the front to make it look more like an Audi. In the next spot, we have the Annis RE7B. It's another car that's confusing to figure out which car it's based on, because it's a mix between the Nissan R390 GT1 and the Mazda 787B. But it hasn't come out like either of these cars, and Rockstar hasn't added any good liveries to match them. I would prefer a new car based on the Mazda 787B in the future, and it can be under the Annis brand, since all Mazdas are also under that brand in GTA 5. But if Rockstar is going to do that, they should also add similar liveries to match the real car. Next up, we have the Emperor ETR1. It's primarily based on the Lexus LFLC Vision Gran Turismo, with the front mostly inspired by the Lexus LFA. We don't want a new car based on the Vision GT concept, but it would be awesome if we got one based on the Lexus LFA. It's one of the best looking and best sounding cars ever, and if we're getting this car in an upcoming DLC or in GTA 6, Rockstar must make it one of the best sounding cars in the game. In the next spot, we have the Grotti Cheetah. It's one of my favorite cars in the story mode, but it feels outdated now. Its front doesn't look good, its interior is bad, and most importantly, it's based on the Ferrari Enzo, but it's nothing like it. Especially its rear is based on a completely different car, and it has a carbon roof and hood that you can't change or modify, which aren't even part of the real car. And the Enzo is one of the best looking Ferraris ever built. So I think it's time for Rockstar to add a new variant of the Cheetah based on the Ferrari Enzo to GTA Online. Next in line, we have the Karin Kuruma. It's based on the Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution X, but I think we need a more accurate Lancer Evo in GTA Online. The Kuruma looks much more like the Lancer EX than the Evo X. And since there's no other car based on a Lancer Evolution in GTA Online, I think we need a new one based on the Evolution X in a future DLC. I've been waiting for Rockstar to add a car based on either the Evo 9, Evo 8, or Evo 6, and I think those would also make great additions to the Kuruma lineup. The Tesla Model S is unarguably one of the most famous and one of the fastest electric cars in the world, and the coil Raiden is primarily based on the 2012 Tesla Model S. It looks similar to the real-life car, but I think it could have been much better. I'm not a huge fan of electric cars, but most of you guys would like to have it in GTA Online. So I think a new coil Raiden model based on the 2019 Tesla Model S would be a great addition to the game. In the next spot, we have the Imponti Phoenix. It's primarily based on the 1977 Pontiac Firebird Trans Am and has been in the game since day one, so obviously it's not very accurate and doesn't have good customization options, especially liveries to match the real-life car. So I think it would be great if we had a new version of the Phoenix based on either the 1973 or 1977 Firebird Trans Am. Moving on to the next spot, we have the Huntley S. It's based on the Bentley EXP 9F, which is the prototype of the Bentley Bentayga. However, it's not entirely accurate and looks like a completely different vehicle. We have both Rolls-Royce and Bentley cars under the Infernus brand, and we recently got a Rolls-Royce SUV in GTA Online, and it's also confirmed for GTA 6. So I think it would be better if we got another Infernus SUV in the Huntley lineup, specifically one based on either the 2015 or 2020 Bentley Bentayga. I've never talked about bikes on this channel, but I'm a huge fan of them. The reason I don't talk about bikes in GTA Online is that they're just so bad. They look nothing like real bikes. For example, take the newest bike added to the game. It's based on the Harley-Davidson Livewire, but it looks like a DIY project that some random YouTuber put together in their garage. And all the other Street Fighters are just as bad with the same issue. And then there's this superbike that looks like it's stuck in a 250cc chassis. And don't even get me started on the bike supposedly based on the Ducati Diavel, and it looks nothing like it. You can tell how much power this bike has just by looking at it, but the in-game version is such a disappointment. So I think Rockstar really needs to reconsider how they design bikes in the future, especially for GTA 6. That's about cars with poor designs, but there are plenty of cars that look amazing. Check out this video for my top 20 best looking cars in GTA Online. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this in the future. See you in the next one.